Global happenings today. We communicate. We analyze global news. Stay tuned.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Global Happenings to the YouTube channel. The elections have come and gone, winners announced, and many Nigerians are waiting for the swearing in. In fact, quick swearing in of the announced chairman or the various local governments in Rivers State. But something unique happened some few hours ago that has made many top Nigerians, even oppositions, to react, and PDP chieftains are also reacting to this. But before going to the newspaper, of course, my colleague is in the house. Would like you to subscribe to our channel. Now, according to the news, the members of the People Democratic Party, PDP, and the faction of the All Progressive Congress, APC, actually have gathered in a rare show of unity to protest in Rivers State. Now, the protest comes ahead of the controversial local government election scheduled for October 5th that took place, which have been plagued with so much conflicting court rulings and political tension. And the protest follows the ongoing legal controversy surrounding the elections, while a state high court in Rivers ordered the elections to proceed using 2023 voters register. A federal high court in Abuja barred the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) from releasing the register to the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission (RISEC), effectively putting the elections on hold. Now, INEC has since confirmed that it has not yet released the 2023 voters register in RISEC. The situation has united unlikely allies in Rivers State. Both PDP members and a faction of the APC are protesting for a common cause, calling for RISEC and Governor Siminalayi Fubara to comply with the Federal High Court judgment and halt elections. Now, former Senator Shehu Sani commented on these unusual alliances between the two rival political parties, where he said, Rivers State, some few hours ago, one of the strong supporters of Rotimi Amechi made a video that is so shocking and also hilarious, where he said, anytime you see opposition, they are now mounting the street in heavy protest. Aluta Continua has started, and when the Aluta Continua has started, it clearly shows that they are already on their way to being opposition and to be a losing team, that they have been in that position for 8 years, that the same Wike turned them to Aluta Continua. They were protesting for 8 years. Said this one they are starting is small. Said after a while they said that the Oga will call them and say, guys, it's 15 per head. No say money no today, money down. So but let's keep moving. We must not give up now. Very soon we'll get our mandate. And when we get our mandate, everything will be settled. We will say yes. After a while we started reducing in our numbers of protesters because money no come to the day. He started laughing. He said, what did you not know? Those days we have special judges that used to, give us injunction then and really say this one you are calling Omotosho. Say it's small. Very soon you start knowing some things like Justice Peter Leaf. He said quite a lot of people had a heart to laugh. My colleague is in the house. Many Nigerians feel that Fubara should not rest. That actually there is a 10-man committee that was actually being created by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president, to look into. That this committee was actually to look into the allocations of local government council. That's once the proper election, for those who did not conduct it, if it was also properly conducted, so that those who went through the right processes and it is legitimate, they can now seamlessly, give them their local government allocation state by state. And now the unique thing about this 10-man committee is the fact that all 10 of them are allies and loyal to Nyesom Wike. Do you honestly think, just objectively, do you honestly think that it's possible that may be the final bus stop of Fubara, where they may look at it and say there are a lot of court injunctions for that reason, that this 5th of October election that held in Rivers State is not valid? And if it is so, what do you think will be the reaction of Fubara, either which way?
Well, as I did say before now, what we saw yesterday was home victory for Fubara.
Okay.
And away game is still there. And that is one area that we can hardly predict what will happen. Because that away game is not that it's going to be handled by fairly, or let me say, it's not that it's going to be handled by people of diverse political opinion, diverse political beliefs, or people who will look at the truth and call it the truth. We are looking at a situation whereby so many things will happen after now. 22 people have won. APC, PDP, all the protests they did yesterday was just to have something that they can hold against, that elections. Number one, we already know that the Federal High Court in the order, which has been condemned by all and sundry, that it came second, apart from the fact that it was outside its jurisdiction, but it came second. There was another one that was already there, and which by virtue of, choice, it should be the first that should be considered and all of that. So, with all of that put together, the away game, the away match between Wike and Fubara will be, I would say it's difficult to decide, but being that Wike is one person who can hardly give up on a fight, he will sit back there to see how a lot of things have been stopped, being that he will come from a legal perspective. One of the worst things that can happen to any democratically elected government is the judiciary being used as an instrument to carry out an anti-democratic move. Immediately the judiciary accepts that, what you're going to be experiencing will be unbelievable. You understand? So I think it's going to be difficult, and it's going to be something I'll say it's undecided.
Okay, one more question. Now, if you look at it critically, let's assume, because I don't see it happening anyway, let's assume that eventually it takes place. If it does, don't you think that Fubara, in his own stead, may decide also to withhold the allocations of rivers, judging the fact that, about 40 to 50% of all we're talking about actually comes from that angle. So you can't be denying the people, despite all the environmental pollution, water pollution that's going on in the environment, the people suffer it and still not allow them to have the allocations. That's one. Looking at it from the other angle now, that's one question. Looking at it from the other angle now, do you honestly think that the president would allow an appointee have so much power and grip? Don't forget that Fubara himself, the governor of Rivers State, has pledged allegiance that come 2027, he would deliver Rivers State to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, free course unhindered. Now, why would you want to now instigate, from all indication, the election held, despite all the move made by the FCT minister? The people came out en masse, they voted, which means there are stakeholders now that are actually working with Fubara without, some sort of political inducement. Now, which means that if for any reason Fubara has gradually built a structure for himself, and he now decides to make an unnecessary enemy from Fubara, just for Wike to hold the structure, don't you think it's like backfiring? And don't you also think that it's giving undue power to an appointee, where he knows, after all, I can always eat my cake and have it? If already Fubara is with me, it's not wiser to have some sort of a weakened Wike in his team, so that he can always use him anyhow he likes, judging the fact that PDP right now sees him more like an enemy, some PDP members see him more like an enemy that wants to bring down the party. Don't you think that the president may likely want to play the ball in a neutral manner and give Fubara that stuff?
Okay, now, first of all, Wike is a very strong fighter when it comes to politics. You cannot just write him off, because before he will start making any necessary moves, his hands are already on your ball. On your ball to drag you real good. So right now, what I personally think will happen, considering the two circumstances that you brought forward. Now, first thing first, I think, as I did say before now, he will try to bring in judicial proceedings of judicial order, which will make it look that the whole issue is going to be handled fairly. Now, if that cannot be achieved, the next thing that I believe that a man of Wike's class will solicit for is that this guy can't sweep through the 22 local government, that they should reschedule elections, another time for election for some of the local government, so that at least he should be able to sustain some of the structure. For example, in Imoha, Ikwere, Obiokwa, they will come strong in those areas, that these were the places that were so sure that elections did not hold and there must be another election. Or he calls for the total cancellation of the election, considering the fact. And if that happens, like you rightly pointed out, don't forget that whoever Nigeria is traceable to these guys. And already we know that they have not really enjoyed the dividend of democracy as it should be. It is now. So for you to strip them of local government money for as long as, the next thing they will do is to shut down the entire area and make sure that militancy will come in. Because if our local government does not have money and you are making certain demands just because of a particular person, we'll shut it down. And that will be a fresh fight for the president, which is not good enough. Don't forget that already we have Boko Haram fighting, we have insurgency, we have bandits. All of that is getting enough of our time. Apart from that, the economic crisis in the country is escalating. So every available money needs to be used rightly. So if you stop them, before you know, they will start stopping the companies, and all the money that goes to FIR, is that this Federal Inland Revenue Service, will stop. If you go in there to for payment of, they will put a serious hold on all the company. If they pay tax to government, you're not going to operate in this community. And before you know, it's going to be a case of back and forth. And when the back and forth is so strong, some of those companies may be thinking of quitting, because come on, right now we have global economic crisis. So everybody wants to make sure that they enjoy. So right now it's very dicey. The president needs to stay off everyone and sit back with some very key personality to think about this. Don't forget, as you rightly pointed out, the president has already gotten a promise from Fubara that he's supporting his government and he's there for him. So right now, personal suggestion is, now that you have seen that this guy has grown and is at a very reasonable level when it comes to the issue of, politicking, you've got to align with him. Fubara, give me Rivers State come 2027 and let's start working together. And I can assure you, with how laid back Atiku is, Fubara will be ready to allow APC to win come 2027 when it comes to the issue of Rivers State. But then we'll still keep the structure. That's the two things because I know very well, if you cancel that election, the Fubara we have seen thus far is a Fubara that will never allow that election to hold again. That's the Fubara we are seeing. He won't allow that election to, and by the time he won't allow that election to do, it is seen those chairmen that will go back to their respective local government, and before we know, boom, we will start having experiences that we have forgotten long ago. Don't forget that the issue of militancy had been there since 2000, and it was so tough to a point that the president needed to sit back and say, come on, let's get these guys fixed up. And that's when they came up with a lot of things, that we had the Niger Delta Development Commission and every other thing. If you try to stop them again, we may not be able to contain them. That's just the truth.
All right, let's go wrap it up. But one thing is certain, I don't see Fubara doing this election the second time.
Again, he would not.
Other people, Akwa Ibom and the rest,
apart from that,
Abia, I think Anambra had all of them, Abga, no issues.
And he gave them 90 days. They gave them 90 days. And he had delivered before 90 days. All the political parties were fully informed that election was going to hold. And instead of you preparing for the election, you were running around, going to court to get injunctions and all of that. As we are talking right now, in Akwa Ibom State is a PDP state. In Akpabio's this thing, Akpabio's local government, APC won. So which means it would have been a tough contention between APP and PDP. But you say no way. Instead, people are preparing for election. You are running to court. So who is going to lose at the end of the day? Now you go lose. I would advise the president. This guy has grown. Jungle don't mature. So ideal thing to do is liaise with Fubara. Fubara is ready to work with you. Liaise with him. Shut down on Wike. Give him an appointment. Pay him back and let him rest. So
what would now be the gain of Wike? Because at the end of because that's what he brought in. He brought in his structure as a bargaining chip. Now you're taking away that structure?
Unfortunately, he didn't play his game well, because being a leader, there's a way you can structure out things, play it well in such a way that at the end of the day, you will still have a full grip over it. I know very well that if at the end of the day, he allowed Fubara to do some of the things Fubara was supposed to do, he will still, when the time for presidency comes, he will still come down back to Fubara. After all, Atiku Abubakar has not expressed so much interest in Rivers State again. So he would have come back to say, guy, listen, presidency, I still have a lot of things to take from the presidency. We are going to support the person of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and everything. But he wanted to take all. Because we all know that all this push and fight we are seeing is not because he loves the people of Rivers State so much. We know where the target. You understand? So that's just the situation right now. All
right, let's go wrap it up. If you believe contrary, please let's interact in our comment section. What's your take? Do you think that Fubara still has one more fight to ensure that he's fully enthroned as the governor and his authority unchallenged? Do you think it's actually a smooth ride? Any attempt of any kind would definitely make Fubara get another version of